Alright, let's get to it. Gotta get these MacBooks fixed. Not like I haven't done a dozen of them before. Gotta keep on going. Kinda curious. I'm pretty sure that feedback trace is not bad, so I'm gonna suspect it's probably just a stuffed up controller. So what I would do is, however, sort out these capacitors first. I think I've replaced both of them. They've got sufficient damage on them to warrant replacing both of them. I mean, okay, it's a little bit over the top, but I feel better about it if I do that and get that third one down there that's pretty much been corroded off its pad. Hey CD Carolyn. Hello Carolyn. Been a while. Hey Fox. Daniel. Alright, so this is obviously a continuation on the stream we had a little bit earlier, about 4 hours ago or so. Whoop, got a little eager there. There we go. At least the pads look pretty clean. We are now at the point where my vision and the microscope don't always agree. I think that's a fair compromise. Oh well, Carolyn, as long as you've been working, that's what matters. As in, and by working I mean hopefully you've been earning money. Working and not earning money, on the other hand, is not such a great outcome. Even if it is for exposure. I mean, you only have to look at how I ended up going when I traded all my software work for exposure at the hands of some moderately famous New Yorker. And look where that ended me up. Oh, they're terrible, can't use those. No, can't use that. Yeah, gnarly. Seen trouble with a lot of these donor boards from China, as they're all pretty bad shape. As long as it's not algorithm jailed, yeah, that's true. Okay, these, they look a little old and whatnot, but they don't have corrosion. I think we'll go for these. Found LogoWiki has a page for the SMC flash. Yes, it does. I just haven't read through it to actually do it. Mother flipper, lost my little one. Oh no, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. I just gotta keep my focus on it. Have I got it? I got it. And I want that other big one. Hey, one way. Well, we only just started for the evening. We'll see how I go. Hopefully it'll be better than last night. Last night was a disaster. 3.5 hours for no real great results. It was a bit disappointing. Yeah, so you can go there. You can go there. And you can go there. Oh, you're kidding me. This cap is the one that we actually took off from the original, I think. Okay, no drama. I feel like I've got another cap on the board here. There we go. I just had to run my fingers across the silicon mat and I found it. 18W. Let's see, Daniel, quick question. What a 165 board which I repaired, but throttling. CPU prox is 128. Guessing temperature sensor. Do you remember the part? Fine. There's a couple that it could be. I mean, it could be like that one by the JV. It could also be the fin. If it's the fin one, then that is perhaps on the DC inboard. There. I'm trying to think what the other one is. Can't think at the moment. Let's get these parts on before I lose them. And yeah, I'm being a crazy person here and just trying to solder 3 parts all in one shot. Because why not? But I'm fairly sure the backlight driver is probably botched up. Just going to check the actual socket. That looks fine to me. I do really need to take that driver off to find out whether I have a feedback trace issue or I have the driver issue. Well, Daniel, don't thank me until it actually works. Otherwise, for all you know, I'm just misleading you. But you can quickly find out on the schematics. Because there is a page there with all the sensors. Okay, now before we do anything else, it doesn't matter that we've got a couple of bridges there. We're going to check continuity mode. Zoom out a bit. So we want to check there to there. Yeah, okay, so the trace is fine. That being the case, then it's likely that the driver was faulty. Might have been drunk driving on fermented smoothie. Hey Nelson. Okay, let's get the LP8550s. Da-da-da. I do have more than just 2 left. Not to mention I can always, if desperate, take one of the donor boards and reball an old one. Okay, pin 1 is up the top right. Like so. Now, because I haven't flattened those pads down, I've made my job a little bit harder. LED driver on these 165s and 3437 boards, they are surprisingly, they need quite a bit of heat to get them down. Not SMC level, but a lot more than you'd anticipate for such a chip, small chip. There you go, that's good. Hey Travis. Alrighty. Let's see if we have any success getting a backlight out of this. I don't think we'll even bother with the battery at this point. We're just going to slap it in. No fan. Bare essentials. Nothing more. And if that works, then okay, I'll come back and improve things here. Flat flex. Kind of curious what's causing that to sit up like that. Anyway, it's irrelevant. Let's get it MagSafe. Fingers crossed. We actually get a backlight now. Hey Tektronix. If we get this backlight out of the way, then we can look at the Acer. Come on. Yep, okay, we got backlight. So I'd say it was the driver. Yeah. Now what we did want to try and check on this was to see if how badly afflicted the system feels, given that we are running with a 3437 SMC in this instance. Just want to see what's... That's just weird. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting it's because of the Wi-Fi cable over here. Oh, good timing then, Travis. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll actually reassemble this properly, put the fan in, we will connect up the camera, all that sort of stuff. We'll just kind of see if this can behave even though it has the incorrect SMC in it. Like I said, it does have a 3437 SMC and this is a 165 board. Now obviously we can boot, which is to be expected given that the boards are quite similar, but they are not identical. Ah, come on, there you go, plug in. Okay, battery. Hello, Eliub. Welcome. See how this boot goes. Hey Pedro, how's your day of scamming going? I actually booted pretty good though. Yeah, so far the performance is actually quite normal. And just wait for the startup of the temperature sensor program. Fan spin seems normal. Let's see what readings it can't pick up. Okay. Everything's reading correctly that I can see. Wi-Fi is working. See if FaceTime works. FaceTime is actually very slow to boot because this is coming off a USB stick, so... Okay, FaceTime works. That's a shocker. I actually would not have thought the camera would come across. Just check the audio. One speaker should be running. Okay, here we go. We've got issues here. There's no audio inputs. Now, I don't know whether that's because I've got a dud DC in card or something else, but we don't have any audio. So that may be one of the issues. I'll try it with this board because we know this one works. Nusacat, no, the Xbox has a dud PCH Southbridge. It's running 27, 28 frames per second on that Valley, so it's actually doing pretty good. It's certainly not hurting the performance. It's a 1.68 gigabyte board. Fan's coming up to speed, full speed. Temperatures are showing right. So I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to try this DCM board. If it comes up with no audio again, then we will know that well, it could actually be a couple of things. It could be that I have a bad flat flex connector, that metal shielded connector that we originally started with. Yeah, maybe I've got a shorted pin on it or something like that because the audio comes through that connector. In fact, maybe I should check that first. No, we'll try that. Because we do have a speaker connected there. All the audio is on this DC board. Come to think of it, it actually shouldn't matter because we use the same DC board regardless of it being 3437 or a 165. So, interesting. It could, like I said, be my work down here. It could be dud. Won't be the first time that I've done dud work. Certainly won't be the last time, unfortunately. As much as I wish it was the case. Yeah, I'm thinking J9500 is the more likely culprit in this instance, but we'll see. Even if it does all of a sudden work now, I'm going to go back and double check again. In case it was a case of coincidence, luck, that sort of stuff. You got to be careful not to fall into the trap of making something work once and thinking that it is fixed. Hey Patrick, good evening. Oh, you're early from New York. Ah, Gindy's here. Good evening, Gindy. How are things out your way today? Cooling down finally for you? No bomb, because I don't have any speakers connected at this point. Pardon me. Frame reset, yeah. No input devices? Alright. So at this point, I will start to initially suspect my J9500 soldering job. So we'll take that out and have a look. Some people are like, how could you doubt your own work? And it's like, on something like J9500, you almost always doubt it. I'm just waiting for it to shut itself down. It's taking its sweet time. If I just pull the power on it, it's going to mess up the USB stick slightly. Not badly, but enough for me to sort of be grumpy at myself for having done that. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the J9500 rework. So I mean, from the top side, yeah, okay, I mean, it's got a little bit of flux in there, but it's looks pretty okay. We'll go along, we're going to jabby jab all the pins and see if any of them go wiggle wiggle. Furthermore, what we'll do is we'll actually... Sorry about going out of focus. It's sitting in the chassis, so it does tend to move around. Nothing wiggling on that side. Ugh, come on, man. Get your stuff together, boy. Nothing there either. Okay, the other possibility is that there is a short between two pins tucked up high under the connector, so we have to take the board out, inspect the connector from the edge. The other possibility is there is a problem with the actual comms lines for it. Because I just find it hard to believe that audio wouldn't work, given that they use the same DCM board. No shorts there. No shorts there. Alright. Next step, we find out the data lines for the audio, and then we check their diode values. There might be speaker amp. Okay, audio power enable, speaker in NMP. High definition audio. So we've got a fair few things here to look at. It could be the SMC. Like I said, it just seems a little strange because the 3430, this is sort of one of those sections on the 3437 and the 165 where things are actually the same. And the fact that we're not even identifying it, that's kind of interesting. See you, Jimbo. If I had to guess, I would say there's a problem with the audio power delivery. Interesting. That chip looks familiar. Didn't we do... We reworked that. We put a new chip there. And I mentioned that there was a problem that I didn't reball it and it may not have sat down properly. So it's entirely possible I have to reball that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this chip here, you remember last night, we fixed that up. Hey, Harold. No, yeah, geez. You put me on the spot now. It is possible the new chip may not be a good chip. Okay, what is this meant to be? Okay, so the diode mode of this is meant to be 0.35. Let's have a look and see if there's anything close to that. So it looks like we've got a... This is the test point here. Okay, diode mode's good. Um, 1v5SO, that should be 0.4. And that's close enough in my opinion. So what I'll do is I'll reball that chip, and who knows, it might come good. Or maybe I'll just replace it, do a new one entirely. Your own worst enemy. Yep, that's pretty normal. I mean, we managed to fix up everything else so far. We've got it running, we cleared it of all the junk. And, you know, it's all going except the audio at this point. I think the cap just has a hair on it, that's all. Yeah, it's just a hair. So most of the time, if you think it's got a crack, it's probably a hair. Most of the time. Let's be naughty and direct wick. Very naughty. Okay, for the sake of trying to eliminate... Oh man, that one's missing it too. Jeez. There we go, that's a nice fresh looking one. And we will go through the pains of reballing it. Honestly, I'm going to sooner believe that I just simply don't have 1VO. I don't have the 1VO5 getting there. Let's see, will this take 0.35s? 0.35 is actually a little bit... It's a little bit too much. Alright, so we're going to have to basically stencil this one. Just try and blow off the excess. Yeah, it's a bit of a mismatch of sizes there too. Anyway, stencil and some paste. The glass chips aren't really that heat sensitive, Steve. They're just physically sensitive. They're very brittle. So more often than not, what will happen is you just grab them slightly wrong with your tweezers and then they just chip. It's one of the few times where having a bit of flux, encrusted flux or something like that on the tweezers can actually be a bit of a saving grace, simply because it provides a bit of a buffer. No. No. There we go. That'll suffice. Now, of course, I have to dry out some paste. As soon as I can find the paste yet again. Story of my life. This is the story of the man who didn't keep a clean workshop. Obviously we're not going to need a lot of paste at all. It'll come into focus shortly. Funnily enough, that top crusty piece of flux paste was probably perfectly good for the job that I was about to do, and it was already pre-dried. I mean, I could probably do 20 or 30 of these little 6-pin chips with the amount of paste that I just knocked out. Easily. So yeah, these chips are frustrating to reball by virtue of the fact that they're just... It's kind of like balancing a plate on top of a pin. Come on, get rid of that. Whatever. Oh, way to go, genius. Yay. It's tempting to try and reflow that. This will illustrate why paste can be a pain on larger chips too, if you don't have enough clearance. It's like, okay, I've put the stencil down, I retracted the stencil, left the little bit of paste down there, but if you don't have enough clearance between the paste of the respective pads, they tend to bleed into each other like they are now, and then when they do finally coalesce, it's too much of a wreck. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna have to redo this whole thing. Maybe using 0.25s manually might have been a better option here. I might take that route. Things like TriStars are about where it starts to get viable to do paste. You know, sort of like a 4x4 or 5x5 type configuration. But small stuff like this, it's so fiddly. I'm gonna get some 0.25s and see if I can't just manually place them. And for some reason that solder paste is stuck to my tips. I think we've got about 6 there, maybe 7. That's cool. When you get up close, you realize how disgusting everything is. I'm not going to do them all at once, I just simply want to get them off the tweezers. Right, now I can wash the tweezers again. And hopefully with washed tweezers I should be able to manipulate them better. Alright, let's see how badly we can do this. Hey, Sodomizer. A terrible name. Let's see, this may end in tears. Indeed it may well. I'm going to start from the back. Okay, 1. 2, 3. Uh-oh. Got a little ahead of ourselves there. 4. 5. 1 more. It's wandered off the optimal position. Six. No! I thought it had bound itself to that pad, but it had not. Basically the problem is that the draw of the flux is stronger than... well, it happens sooner and is sufficiently strong. But the shakes. There we go. Just had to burn my fingers slightly. Nothing bad. Okay. I will say that is... those are massively too large, but it should not pose a problem for the scenario that we're working. Next trick is to make sure we got the orientation correct, which is this way. Seem to be having a bit of trouble here. The problem is I can't manhandle it. Yeah, I can't just aggressively grab it because of it being the glass chip. It will just shatter. Okay, I'm gonna have to pick up the temperature and everything, but I just want to hopefully convince it to stick down a little bit. It's going to give it some flux. Alright, so now it's sitting right. Well, it looks pretty good though. What I'm going to do before I put it back in to the chassis is I'm going to check to see that I do actually get the 1.05 volts at that location where I'm expecting. Because if I do not, then we know we've got a different sort of issue that we're dealing with. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to test these two test points. So on the lower one here we should get 1.5 volts. And we should also get 1.5 volts up here. Okay, 1.5, 1.5. So the switch is definitely working. We definitely have 1.5. What I might do, I can't really test it up here though. That's the trouble with this connector, is you can't test the voltage at that point. Now what I might be able to do is, so this here is the audio chip. This is why on the 1466s when you try to find the audio chip you can't find it in the schematic. It's because it's on the DC inboard. Alright, guess we'll just plug it in. We do have voltage, so if it's not working after that, we're back to the SMC versus freakish communication issues. Because remember, this board has been through hell. It was smoothie soaked and all that sort of stuff. So we can't just immediately say, oh well, it's going to be the SMC, given that it's been through so many other possible causes. It looks like you cooked the center of the glass chip. I don't think so, and it is working. Its purpose is to switch that 1.5 volts across, and it's doing that. Weird, my MacBook just came to life. Oh, not MacBook, my iMac just turned on. It's a little bit unsettling when computers decide to turn themselves on. What next? I was going to say, I can't let you do that, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave. Didn't get a bong. Where's got it? Yeah, maybe it's the geckos running over the board. It does report a speaker up here. It's a good sign. Okay, so it must be seeing the chip, at least in theory. No. Okay. No input, output? Oh, we do have an output. Duh. Okay, internal speakers. Yeah, we got no volume. About this Mac. Let's go see what it reports as the storage system report. Audio. No. I'm pretty sure it comes up with something a little more advanced than this when you actually have a working audio chip. And it's not. I am still sooner going to say it's my J9500. Shut down. I'll try a different flatplex. Assuming I can locate one. Yeah, it's probably the ghost getting into the iMac, yep. I can sort of explain away the one that's on my desk. But I'll tell you what, if it happened to the one that's sitting up on the shelf on its own with no power, that would be a little harder for me to accept. It would be like, okay, we're in trouble. Why do I keep all this stuff? I mean, how many 1278 fans do I need? Anyone think that I'm a fan of the 1278? I've got a couple of 1398 fans, but that's completely different. I have high doubts that I will have suitable flat flex in here. Yeah, I don't think so. No. Okay, to be fair, some of these fans are actually for the 1286 as well, not just the 1278. Jim, you don't get to criticize. I'm sure you're... That was dad joke grade. $1286s. No. Plenty of 1466 heat sinks. This is making me have to go into the other room. I hate that. Alright. Hopefully I actually did order a few. They're one of those sort of connectors that you seem to buy a good number of them, but almost always you run out of them at the same time. And no sooner you restock, you also deplete. It's just one of those cables that you perpetually, every time you go to a store or online store that potentially or does sell them, you should basically just, you buy another one or another two. Yeah, that's great. I got the 1465 ones. As per normal, essentially have everything that I need except what I need. Okay, keyboards. I'm just going to go, oops, that was loud. Go check in my 1466 stash. And it may have a couple there. Oh, sorry, Luna. I didn't realise you were asleep there, girl. What you doing sleeping in my trash? No? What you doing? You okay? Sorry about that. Aha. Eight two 1722. Oh, what board was that? Okay, it was a donor, thank God. Teresa, how dare you say such things? Anyway, Luna is asleep and she will maintain that peace and tranquility. Thank you very much. I plugged the battery in simply because it aids in making it faster to boot. I was going to say, you know what, I should just prime reset and then that will make a noise. Faster than doing it this way. Oh, too late. Nothing. Alright, the last test I'm going to do is I'm going to diode mode check every single pin on that J9500, and if they all match up, then after that I suspect I'll just go and reflash the SMC. Though, like I said, I really just don't see what it might be. Is perhaps, even though that's the same, maybe on the SMC the pin routing for the audio section comes into different pins on the SMC. That's the only other possibility I can think of. Anyway, I have a feeling that this diode mode test is going to return that everything is normal. Maybe something stuck in the headphone jack. That is possible, yes. Though I usually do flush them out. Oh, but the other thing is we changed it to a different one and it still had the same fault. So that kind of eliminates that possibility. Alright. I just realised that after I agreed with you. Alright, we're going to go quad mode here. And you can see I've got my diode mode values for the connector. And it's interesting, we don't have the multimeter up. Where's the multimeter? Push it up. Okay, power supply. Good. Miles, we did it the other way around. We took a known working board and we got the same result. Okay, 4.6, what was that? 4.6 and 3.6. So this should be 0, 0, first two 0, 3.5, although I am looking at 3.5. This is why, actually at 0, okay, 4.2, 4.2, ground. Oh, after 5.8 and then over limit. Damn it. Okay, those should be ground. Oh, I just realized why. Okay, yep. 5.8. Oh well, yep. And we'll start from the bottom. We'll miss the first two. Oh well. Oh well. Ground and oh well, oh well. Would help if I actually clean this connector too. That's fine. Go to this side. Damn it, it's actually trickier this way. I'm kind of gonna have to do it upside down, and this desperately needs a clean. Okay, so 54526. So that's moderately low. Okay, 6, 3.5, 3.9, 72, 72. Ugh, man, come on. 5, yeah. Yep. 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 74, oh, bloody hell. Yep. Yep. 4, 7, 6. 4, 7, 6. And then right from the top, 4, 4, 3, 9. Okay. 4, 4, 3. Oh yeah, that's right, yep. And then, damn it. Ground, 4. Yep, everything is acceptably within spec there, funnily enough. That's interesting. So we may be down to the SMC scenario. Be curious, if I compare between a 34, 37 and a 165 for where they deal with the audio on the SMC, I am very curious to see if it is in fact different. Because there were some variations in there, but not enough for me to call it as faulty. Hey creature, no, I haven't yet. Give it time. Okay, so we've got a schematics. So this is the 165. Let's have a look at our audio. Oh, that's nasty. That goes straight into the CPU for the high definition audio. You... Okay, what's this? Speaker amp. Maybe we've just got a problem with the speaker amp? I don't know. Mind you... Okay, so what is this chip? U6410. Let's have a look at what that U6410 is. See what it looks like. Okay, so it's this... Oh, it's this Plus AI one. I'm just going to try something. I still don't think that it's generating any output. But what I am going to do is... You notice I'm missing the speaker there, so I'm just going to drag it off one of my other chassis. Come on. Off you get. Twing! Yep, that's always fun. Fun when you break stuff. Okay, so now we have a speaker back again for this. And the other thing I'm going to do, rather than booting it and all that sort of jazz, I am just going to do a PRAM reset. Or NVRAM really, on these. And see if it goes boom. Okay, that's in. Because I do recognize that little amp chip, because remember when we fixed up the audio board the other day, not the audio, the DC in board the other day, and we actually replaced that chip along with some other little bits and pieces. Okay, now to do a PRAM reset, I really do actually have to have it laying flat. Well, it should have bonged then. We'll give it one more go. Wrong one. That's the micro call. Alright, I gotta admit I'm a little bit stumped. I can try and reflow J9500. Maybe there's some junk under the connector. The only other possibility is that when all of the damn it, got the wrong password. When the smoothie went through it, it messed it up. It's just interesting because it is actually showing the speaker icon. Yeah, it's showing the speaker icon. I'll go get a pair of headphones just to test. And then I've got to do micro. Alright, some good old Sennheisers, which I don't have foam pads for. Shame. I've been trying to find replacements for these, but yeah, no luck. It's kind of curious. It's detecting if line out is used. I can't hear anything. But it's interesting that it's actually... Yeah, I'm gonna say that maybe the SMC, they use different pins for the audio detect or something like that, for the audio signaling. Not the actual audio data, but just the signaling. Because when I plug in the headphones, I lose the line out, and it just is left with internal speakers. So it seems like that portion is the same, but when it gets to the SMC, they're using different pins. Alrighty, I am going to now... I'll shut this down. I'm going to go do micro, and then I'll be back and we'll work on the Acer, and then later on I will, if there's time, I will start trying to do the SMC reflash. Okay, I'll be back. Alright, we're back. Yeah. Crap. Lifted that up. Okay. Let's get some metho. For people wondering, this is my own test chassis, so it's not a customer's. I'm not just spraying stuff all over a customer's laptop indiscriminately. It is a customer's board, but that was well and truly protected. Well, we know Wi-Fi works, so I don't need to have the Wi-Fi in there anymore for testing. Okay, so what I'm quickly going to do is just have a look at the schematic and the board view between the two. So here we have the 165. I'm just trying to think which one's going to be... okay, bring up another copy of Flexboard View, and we want the 3437. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go have a look at, say, speaker amp in R. That not the one I want? Let's try to see which ones go off to the SMC here. SMC, VC, SMC... Data clocks, it's one wire. That's weird, I could have sworn audio power enable. No, that's coming straight out of there. I genuinely could have thought I saw there was audio stuff coming out of U5000. I'm stumped. That's weird. Could have sworn I saw something out of here related to audio that, yeah, but at the moment it's just U5000, UO500, which is of course the CPU. Nah, okay, maybe I'll just... No, that's definitely got me confused. Alright, fine. We'll just get straight to the Acer, or whatever it is, and the Acer and Acer, I can't remember now. We'll deal with it. And we'll put this aside until I can work out what's going on. I guess the easiest thing at this point would simply be reflash the SMC. If it comes good, then we know it was the SMC programming. If it doesn't come good, we know it's a board issue. Unofficial Mac. UMAC. Okay. Make sure I put the boards in a place that I remember. Right, since this next laptop is all nice and clean, it would be preferable for me to do the same with my workbench. Make the workbench nice and clean. Mute or load. It doesn't even show up as muted. Basically what happens, like if you plug in the headphone socket, it actually shows up as the line out is disabled. So the signaling doesn't seem to be quite right. Maybe that's what I should look at. Audio. Nah, come on. Better get on with the Acer because the customer will be waiting for that one. Acer or Asus? Acer, right. Hey Jason. Jason, we got that that drink drowned 165 to run, but it's got no audio output. But I don't know if that's because I used a 3437 SMC or something else. So I've got some more experimenting yet to be done. Okay, let's hope this isn't just going to be something dumb. Not a fan of these connectors on the back, but clearly someone is. Alas, no lights on the back of the... Gee, does this thing have any signaling lights at all? Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so we've got nothing showing up there at all. Interesting. Let's see if we have any voltage. So this is a purple grade Acer. Basically just means it has more power than the others. And we do have voltage coming out of here, so that's not the problem. Alright. So we've either got a broken connector internally, or we have a shorted board. Jason, when you did that, did you test the audio by chance? Because everything else works fine except the audio. And it's reacting in a strange kind of way. Stick in the USB chipmunk. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's really embarrassing actually, because that is usually what I do with PCs. But people sort of think that the chipmunk is only for the MacBooks, but it's actually for all USB systems. We've got nothing coming up on the power. Let me try to plug it on. Not plug it on, but press the ONOFF button. And nothing coming up there. So yeah. My bet is 70% it's going to be just a busted connector, and 50% that it's going to be a shorted connector cap. And you're sitting there going, Paul doesn't know his math. You're astounded. You're like, how can he be putting 70 and 50 together when you can only get up to 100%? Well, the way I figure it is that is it likely, also a possibility of an overlap, that we have both a busted connector and a busted cap. Also, the power in light and the charge lights do not illuminate either when plugged in, so it's very, very non-responsive. Oh, crikey. Okay. What style of horror are you? Ah, it's a 144 Hz screen. Oh. Usually these gaming machines aren't too bad for getting the backs off, but this may be an exception. There we go. Seam lines were different to what I was anticipating. For some reason with the gaming machines, they often just make it comparatively easy to get into. I suspect perhaps because they're expecting you to want to upgrade RAM or change the drives and things like that. The downside is that this does not have a removable battery. Alright, we've got some serious junk levels here. This is a Western Digital type drive. Okay, the connector feels pretty sturdy in there. Oh, what the hell happened there? Surprisingly, this looks quite familiar to another machine I was working on a couple of weeks ago. But it was a different brand. But I guess it shouldn't surprise me too much. There's probably some degree of sharing between the various companies. Kind of like how Mazda often makes cars for Ford and things like that. Just going to take the battery pack out, eliminate that. Okay. Alright, see if we get anything now. Nothing. The main pin is buried in there a fair bit. That's going to be a little bit tricky to get a hold of. Okay, so we've got 19 volts while it's plugged in. That actually makes it somewhat more ominous. I would have preferred it if it had drawn it down to 0, in which case we'll be dealing with more of a classic situation. Hey Toby. Miles, that is true, yes. It is not the manufacturers themselves making it. It's the... let's see, we'll find the brand name in here. So all I'm doing at this point is I'm just looking for something maybe that might give us a hint before I yank it out. See, if it was the power button, then I would still expect the AC in present light to show up. We do have enough dust levels here that it could be something corroded. Yep, looks like we're going to have to go for a disassembly. Fuse blew up. Well, it's not entirely unreasonable. We'll try plugging the power in again, now that we've got the keyboard disconnected and trackpad. Still no light. Yeah, I was just wishing I could remember what the other model was that I had. But it is essentially the same. Do you often work on these Windows machines? I try not to. How does that sound for an answer? I get maybe one or two a week, but I try to avoid them. They almost always suck up more time than they're worth. Particularly in one-off type scenarios like what I'm dealing with. Ah, gee, that's a special screw there. Special shorty goes there. I'll try and remember that. At least if I can replay the video, I'll remember. Yeah. That CMOS battery tried really hard to actually break itself off. There's another shorty flat. Okay, we're getting close. I'm sure someone else has done plenty of the... I bet you there's screws under the... Is there? Okay, not so bad, this one. The previous one that I had, the design of the heatsink assembly meant that I had to take it off in order to get to all the screws that were retaining the main board. Well, you're not stuck there. You gotta be real careful pulling these things out. It's like, is there adhesive under there? Or is there a screw? Can't see a damn thing. Okay, it looks like they got a crazy pin system here. There we go. Yeah, they've got these keying pins here, but they're so tall that you can almost not get it off without doing some sort of flexo-bendo stuff. Yeah, the previous one that had this sort of board that I was working on, you had to get the heatsink completely off before you had any chance. Alright. Okay, let's have a look at the more obvious areas. So we've got a filter, we've got a 4.7. I'm just gonna look around before I measure anything. I'm just gonna look around, see if there's anything that's distinctly popped or looking dead. Unlikely to be under the CPU area because we would at least get charge most likely from that case. We're sort of drifting a bit far from the anticipated area. Mind you, the charger stuff generally tends to be placed near the battery. No luck with getting the audio going, Daniel. But we'll try a few other things. Okay, so we've got some dead bugs. Nothing that would kill this board. A bit of grass. Okay, so there's our LEDs that we need to be popping up when we plug in stuff. Bit of literal crap, probably. You'll. Well, we'll check the continuity over that. That's an open circuit. No, it's not. The flux was making it open circuit. Okay, check the 4.7. Yeah, that's pretty good too. Brush, brush, brush. I might take the heatsink off, so I can't find anything blatantly obvious. probably most of the MOSFET stuff that we want is under here. That would have been lawn grass, not happy grass. Oh, what a mess. I don't know why they had to have all that. Isn't that they're using that pink stuff? Yeah, let's go. You know what? I'll start down at the jack area. Again, yes, later we will get to. Is that a. It's an interesting mark. It may just be. Is that a hole in that cap? Not really used to seeing that kind of a mark on a cap, to be honest. It's 4.8 ohms though, so I'm going to let that one slide. It's just a bit of a weird mark in all honesty. 4.8 ohms is pretty decent. Seeing if the EC has anything obvious around it. Because at this point, you could speculate that we're not even getting the basic 3.3 volt running. What I will do is I will just pop the thermal camera on. It's definitely a cheat, but it's a cheat that may reveal something comparatively quickly. Yeah, well, the MOSFET's not blown through there. Trouble is, I don't know if that's meant to be that or not. Okay, that looks like it's just building up. There's a capacitor on that rail. So that is actually okay, it's not a short. That's fine. Yeah, so I don't think there's the short there. That's 600. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, neither of those are shot through. Let's make sure we've got continuity across this shunt. Yep. Alright, thermal can. Just to see if anything pops up. Most likely nothing will, but sometimes you get lucky. Then you just get a little firework popping up saying, hello, I am a problematic cap. Or something. Oh no, don't be like that. There we go. Probably going to focus more on this sort of region, or up over here perhaps. Anyway, we'll see what happens, if anything. Probably nothing, but we'll see. Lots of shiny reflections, but... Okay, we do have a pulsar going on here. Just down here. I'm pretty sure that's a pulsar. It's a little tricky because there's too many shiny bits and pieces around, so I'm just going to mask them off. And hopefully we can see the pulsars come up. Yep, there we go. I think. See how it shifts over to it periodically? That means you've got a pulsing going on there. It's not a lot of power, but it's basically, it's trying to bring up a rail somewhere, but it's going to have a short on it somewhere. Oh, crap. Sorry, folks. There we go. I'm just going to cover up that. You can see how it blooms out. That means it's getting hotter. So, now the question is, where is it getting hot? Because that's just the MOSFET. So it's the thing feeding the power, so the short is somewhere else. So we're going to flip the board and see if anything else flares up. This here is the area of the board from the other side. The alignment's wrong. What we're looking for is something that's sort of faintly pulsing. Nothing really jumping out here. We'll go back to the top side and see if it isn't somewhere else. But you can see without masking out areas, it's pretty hard to spot pulses at this sort of low level. Yeah. Alright, well that'll do for now. Let's go to the overhead. Just do a couple of checks. It's not a very strong... It may not even actually be a short at this point. Okay, are you ground? Yeah, okay, that's a little sus. Now this should be the input protection, so I don't know why it's actually finding its way to ground. Because that wasn't ground, perhaps? Let's put it on there. Yeah, okay, that's not ground. Or is it? Oh, I'm confused now. So if you're ground... Oh, I think it was just... There's the freaking capacitor thing again. Yeah. You watch the resistance... Okay, maybe not. That one's all over the place. Okay, I'm driving myself insane. That's fine. Okay, this side's a bit of a problem. Alright. So I'm gonna guess this here is actually the output side. It's probably not a good thing to guess that. Let's see if we get 19 volts there. Okay, so what have we got here? Okay, what have we got here? Okay, 19. Diddly FA. Yeah, we don't get anything there either. So we're basically not getting anything past there. Alright, what I can do is I can take away that shunt and see if we get 19 volts then. Yeah. So the question is, where the hell is it shorted? I suppose I could just inject voltage at this point. Make sure I avoid that ground trace that's snaking just next to it. That would be an unfortunate mistake to make. I think it'd be easier for me to maybe just pull the shunt than it is to pull the MOSFET. Oh. The resistance is all over the damn place. It's just I don't do many of these, and besides, remember, half the time I'm taking it a little bit, how could you say, a little bit more reserved while I'm on live stream. When you don't do these things every day, you have to sort of stop and think a little more. Whereas, say, like a 1466, I'll just sail through that in my sleep. But I'd rather take an extra 10 minutes sniffing around than try to beat someone else's clock. PCs are definitely not my fan of thing to do. I used to do a lot of work on PC ones, but geez, I really am not a fan of them anymore. Just having a look at that schematic. Let's have a look, see if it's got PRB3. PRB3. No, it does not have PRB3. That's not to say that it's... Yeah, they all are much and muchins, these designs. Let's see if we can find something else, like maybe... PQB4. Oh, for God's sake, download it, you little lousy SOB. EQB. Yeah, it doesn't have that. Alright. We'll just look for the ever familiar type of schematic layout. Not that one? No. There we go. So basically what we've done is we've taken the shunt out of here. Yeah, okay, since... Alright, okay, well I will take that second MOSFET out then. I was kind of hoping everything would be after the shunt, but guess not. Okay, put the shunt back and we'll just take out the MOSFET. I know someone was mentioning that before. And don't worry people, I'm not going to put anything crazy in there like 19 volts. We do it the same way we do it on the MacBooks. You just go low and steady and slowly work up if you have to. It's the power of having the infrared camera, is that you can generally pick out shorts as long as they're dissipating anything up, as long as it's about a quarter watt or more, you can usually get them. Oh, I hate God, I hate those caps so much. They're just like the worst caps in the world in design. And I hate anybody who designs with them. Alright, that's not the best connection. It's actually a bit of a column of solder there, but that's okay. It can act as a fuse. This is what I was saying the other night about the difference between, like, when you're told don't get your experience on customers' machines. And that's referring to the fundamental principles of doing diagnosis work and slowly working your way through things. So, okay, you come across a new machine, you take it cautiously and you sort of eliminate the safest options first. You deal with the things that are going to cause the least damage. You basically try to go about it as if you're dealing with the Hippocratic Oath. As in, first step, do no damage, or don't make things worse. Okay, we're going to go down to... I usually like to start at around about 0.8 volts. And not much more than 2 amps. Okay, that should be good. We'll just turn that off momentarily. Okay, got the thermal cam set up. Big problem we're going to have is that there's going to obviously be a lot of heat reporting from this section still, because it is warm from the hot air process. But if this short produces, half a watt to a watt, then we will likely see it start to dominate over this section. Okay, so as you can see, it's quite hot at the moment. Okay, let's go for 0.8 volts and 2 amps. And we've got 1.5 watts spitting out, so it is going to start showing up somewhere. Yeah, that's not a good sign. It kind of... Is it coming up out of that? That doesn't make sense though, surely. I'm just going to cover that. If it's real heat, it will come through. That's not good. That's real heat. Yeah, that's real heat coming through. Okay, we might be lucky. It might be a bad NAND cap or something. Yeah, it's a FLIR 1 Pro USB-C model, but I've written software to make it work with Linux. Unfortunately, it is not available in general. However, there is a free open source driver and program that you can use that with still. It's just not the one that I'm using. The one I'm using is in-house custom, and it's such that I can't really let it out at the moment. Yeah, that's really not good. Unfortunately, there are clips under here, so we should be it's not soldered, it's just clipped, so we should be able to flip it up. Assuming I can find something that's fine enough to get under there. I said, if we're hideously lucky, it might be a cap. Though I have a strong suspicion that is not going to be what we're going to discover. You never know, might get lucky. But it was in this area, but I'm fairly sure it was the chip itself getting warm. Still, we'll power it back up again, and we'll drop a couple of itty bitty drops of IPA onto it and see what happens. There is a little bit of, I can see a little bit of corrosion. That second one from the right, there's a little bit of like fluffy corrosion coming out. Just see that? That may be it if we're lucky. Fingers crossed, eh? So, power. Okay, so we are back to 1.5 watts. Sadly, none of them are really taking to it. They're drying off, but it's nothing special. Blast. It's really not what I wanted to see. I really am not a fan of this goop. This is kind of stuff that like Tim Herman's thermal paste can replace. Okay, I'm just gonna that sucks major. Yep, it's coming from the chip itself. Bugger. That means that chip is dead. Crap. Yet another PC that became a not fixable thing. What a pain in the backside. Certainly is still better than GPU. I mean, the question is, can I even get one of these? So we've got a 9DBT ODA 77. So no. Here's a question. If I remove this chip, if I take this chip off the board, I wonder if I'll get my 3v3 back and charging. So a number of people suggested it may be the RAM VRM high side MOSFET. It may have originally been, but the thing is, you'd kind of expect it to afflict all of them or something. Like if it's shot through, as in if the VRM destroyed that chip. Still, I guess that's the thing. If I take that chip off, even though it won't actually boot or anything like that, it might let the rest of the system come up without it. Yeah, power on, no display. At least that would it would give me a chance to ascertain what's going on. But I mean, at this point, it's up the creek without a paddle, isn't it now? I mean, I'm under no impression that it's going to actually run. Don't get me wrong there. I realise it's not going to run. Rather, what I'm trying to do is, by eliminating the chip, can I then prove that the overall system will actually return to a bootable state, and in which case we can then look at the opportunity to get a replacement chip, which is probably unlikely. But I'd imagine these are moderately available, even if I've got to go for a donor board. My biggest concern here are these two caps up the top. They're going to get pretty upset with what I'm about to do. And we're going to have to go at this very slowly. I'm basically just preheating the board at this point. That's interesting. Oh no, wait, yeah, I just realised I already put alcohol under there. Duh. Of course it's going to bubble out. I was thinking, oh, liquid damage. Which wouldn't have made any sense at all. Well, if you want to tell me which one's the high side MOSFET, and the controller for the VRM, or the VRM itself. This is like trying to remove a baseband CPU off an iPhone. Quite a bit bigger though. Well, that actually came off cleanly enough that I could put that back down without having to reball it if I needed to. Because I didn't end up smushing any. Though it is one of the dreaded ridge ones. Okay, no, I'll have to reball it. Haha. Oh well. That was probably where the tweezers went in. I'll say this much, it wasn't anywhere near as difficult as the MacBook RAMs. The MacBook ones really can be an absolute pain in the backside to get off. Okay, just checking to see how things have changed with this, see if our current has dropped right off. We've definitely dropped down, we're only at 0.45 watts now, half an amp. That is still more than I would want. I'll put that MOSFET back on while someone tries to find the VRM high side. Should be running the fan again. Some thermal paste can be conductive for people who love to live in a terrifying style of life. Just going to put some leaded solder down, make it a little bit easier for me to get that back in. Hey Keith, welcome. I'm just driving people insane tonight, so I'm doing my job. Yeah, that's going to cause a fair bit of squeezage. Once again, those poor caps are going to cop it. Okay, just double check that I got that the right way. Yep. Did I? Alright, how are we going on the VRM seek? Let's have a look at this board and see if we can't just spot it. So if I was a gambling man, I'd say that's probably the VRM there. But then again, it is only for the RAM, the GPU RAM, so maybe it's just a smaller chip. Like maybe that one up there. Actually, yeah. Choices. Link for the board view. Have you got a board view? I don't have a board view. There's no board view that I know of at this point. Okay, we've got our ROM, one of the ROM chips there. High side MOSFET is PQ1301. Oh, Jesus. Is that genuinely going to be for this, or is that according to the schematic that was linked earlier? Because you see you got PUV, which I would imagine is for the video, PQ1301. I don't even think we've got any PQs. PCW, UV. Oh, okay, here we go. PQ, but it's PQB. PQA, PQZ. I have a feeling that the numbering system is different on this board to what's on that schematic. Let's have a look. I'll give you the board details here. This is an LAJ871P. Okay, hang on there. Hang on. You have a link for the board view, you can't post it here. Okay, you can put the link in now. Let's see. PQ is the high side, GPU... Okay, but we've got to find out where it is. Well, that is true, actually. But I guess the question is, does the GPU manage the RAM? Its own VRAM? Man, we've got this... another clippy clip here, so I'm just going to pop this clippy clip off the back as well. Okay, we do have the... just downloading it now. Oh dear God, it's a RAR. Honestly, RAR files still to this day make me shake my head. What are we looking at? Nitro, there we go. PQ1301. Okay. Alright, this is a mirror image. No, this is not the same board, by the way. It's similar, but it's not the same board. So if you look at... Okay, we'll go to quad mode. So you have your RAM, your GPU here, VRAM, VRAM, so VRAM, VRAM. And then you get up to here and there's nothing. It's just big fat empty space. So PQ1301 doesn't exist. So it's not a match, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm going to go back to unclipping this second shield, because maybe it's under the shield. Nothing of interest under that shield. Not for my situation anyway. Check my email. Oh man, I gotta get an email. Okay, going to email now. Hopefully it will actually let me rather than... Okay. Scan and download. Okay. What was it? Acer Nitro AN517. Which one? J871P. That one. Alright, so we don't have the proper board view, but we hopefully, maybe 871p. Yeah, we just don't have a proper board view for it, which kind of leaves us up the crapper. But hopefully we can find the proper part number now. At least they do have nice details in their schematics. And you know, they got the power on states and all this sort of stuff. It's fantastic. It'd be very nice if MacBooks had that. Oh, you've sent the board view as well? Ah, board view. Scan and download. A BDV. Interesting. I'll open... I'm amazed it actually worked. As in, I'm amazed that, yeah, oh god, I wish they would have outlines on them though. Occasionally what I'll do is I'll scan these in and then do the outlines manually. Okay, is it this one? No. Alright, now we're cooking. So what are we thinking? So we've got GDD, the GPU here. So we've got PUV1 and PUW1. So which one's going to be the RAM one? Given that 135 SD GPU comes out of here, I'm going to guess PUW1 is the one we're after. Alright. PUW1. There we go. Let's see how it goes about things. What the? PQW. Alright, so that's sitting here. Okay, so I'll just put this gently off to the side here. So I'll check to see if we've got a short basically between those two there. And then from the gate to the rest of it. Continuity. Okay, so the MOSFET's not blown through, at least from drain to source. Doesn't mean much though, yet. And the gate has integrity. Don't get caught on my... Alright, we do seem to have continuity there. As in short circuit that way. Interesting that it's that way. And it's not going anywhere. And it is 0.2 ohms. Oh, and that's shorter too. Interesting that it doesn't go this way. Yes, it does. Just for some reason I wasn't pressing hard enough. Okay. Yeah. Well, that means removal of that would maybe be a reasonable start too. So we've destroyed one VRAM. Maybe we can get rid of this now. Let's see. In terms of risk of melting, yeah, we got that. That's not a problem. Wind bond chip might get a little upset. That's an interesting inductor, by the way. Don't normally see them in that elongated profile. Yeah, most of them are square profile. Yeah. Okay, let's get it off and see how things go, shall we? Everybody good with the idea of getting this out of here? Well, I guess you don't really get a choice. Once again, just going to take it a little bit easy, get the board warmed up. I'm not used to working on these particular boards. Kind of feels like a slightly thinner desktop board, a PC desktop. And I don't want to accidentally cook something. But at the same time, I also don't want to just generally overheat the whole board either. Okay, we're getting there. It'll be off soon, I think, I hope. Okay, check that orientation. Well, to be honest, if I had a replacement one of these, you wouldn't have a trouble getting that orientation because look at the style of the footprint. There's no ambiguity there. Okay, let's see what it's like now that the MOSFET's removed. Okay, I just realized it's actually, it's a dual MOSFET pack. And so what I was initially doing is I was checking one side, and that's the side that wasn't shorted, but the other one was. So that's why when I first tested it, it wasn't giving me... Okay, that's fine. That was just capacitance on that line. That's not... Oh yeah? Okay. I'm overreacting. I'm all nervous. 6.5, that's probably okay. That's probably okay. That's just the resistance of the GPU decoupling and stuff like that. Alrighty. Okay, well, I'll ask this much. Should I try power it on just to see if it will now power on? Yeah, okay, we'll check that 19 volt rail. Mr. Daniels can't quite see, but... Well, it's up in the 4K sort of range, so it's certainly not open line, but it's 4K. I'd say the RAM chip's probably kaput though, isn't it? So opinions, do we fire it up and see if it actually... Basically what we want to see is if we get the lights come up here. That's all we want to do. Yes, no. Jab it in, don't jab it in. This is the downside when you start taking sort of guidance from people on chat, is that your own brain kicks back and does nothing. You stop taking your own risk evaluations. So anyway, nothing. We'll plug the battery in. Will the chipmunk work here? I'm not really sure. I guess it will show me the 5 volt rail or whatever if it comes up, but I don't know if it's certainly not going to probably give me any CPU. I don't know. I was expecting the lights to come up here, but it has not. Let's see if we can get any kablammy going. Actually, to be honest, I don't want any kablammy at all. I just want it to work. Okay, yep, we're alive, and that's come up, so... Yep. I just disconnected. The battery's flat. So yeah, that fired up. It means it turned on its own there, because that is, unless of course it's doing just 5 volts by default. like a always on. But yeah. Alright. Well, I guess the question is now, how much damage has actually happened? That's the next question. Like, I can reball that RAM chip, no problem. The chances of, I don't think I would have another MOSFET like that at all, not in any of my collections. I mean, I can look around, but I doubt I have anything like that. That's a pretty unique footprint. So we're kind of up the creek. Yeah, PQW1. Which is some AOE 6... Okay, AOE 6930 is what the part is. This bit here, this DFN 5x6, that's the package format. And basically it's a dual MOSFET package. So it just makes it a little more complicated. Yeah. As you can see here, you got like gate 1, gate 2, drain 1. So there's 3 pins for drain 1, 3 for drain 2, yeah. Yeah, the dual MOSFETs are a major pain in the backside. AOE 6930. Ah, goddamn you. Dual MOSFET. I'll probably have to get them from AliExpress. Oh shit. Oh no. My mouse is... Sorry about that noise. I thought for a moment then that Element 14 had them, but it's not. It's something similar, but it's not. Then again, since it's a dual package, I might be able to get away with murder. Although they are quite different. eBay has them. Okay. That, let's see, on semi... Nope. Nope, nothing's matching. So here we go. Oh, that's the 6936. 6930. AliExpress. The trouble is, you know, dual MOSFET's not the difficult part. The difficult part is the footprint that they have. This is a very... It's a unique sort of footprint. Not the sort of thing I would see. Let me go... I have a massive box of trashed boards. And maybe one of them has a... Maybe one of them has something we can use. Let's see. What do you... Oh, hell, you're the thing that doesn't work. Yeah. Damn, I've got to send this machine back to the original owner, but it's very interesting in that it's almost similar in design. God damn it. I'm just a little bit unstable here because I'm doing it off the edge of a shelf, which is generally not a good idea. Okay, they're quite different in all honesty. Unfortunately, no, you can't merge them together like that. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I wish it did. That's why having two discrete MOSFETs is often nicer. Okay, this is not the same. It's the same brand, but that's a 6992, and you can tell it's not the same because you've only got the one gate drive there. What about this one here? Probably the same. Well, I can just look at the pads to know. Yeah, single gate drive, single gate drive. This is an NVIDIA. This one obliterated itself on the input stage. Yeah, I don't think we got similar but not the same, which is unfortunately a very common tale for this sort of work. I'll just go out and get my large box of duds. Hey, everything okay? You're still playing that? How long you been?
About 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Right. Oh, where's Loki?
He went outside.
Okay, cool. God damn it, it's getting too tight in this workshop. I have a feeling that none of these are gonna have anything that's useful. They're all way too old. I'll see if I can find the most modern ones I've got. These would all be using discrete pairs. They won't, typically will not be using modern stuff. And this one doesn't even have a GPU on it. This one does, but again, it's going to be ancient. This is using all paired MOSFETs. It doesn't have any of the... When I say paired MOSFETs, I mean like it has a high side and low side separately. Likewise with this, again, so down here. crying out loud, these things have got socketed CPUs. Most of them are socketed. Well, this one's got USB 3 at least, so we'll just have a look at that in a bit. No GPU. And again, MOSFET pairs. Oh, this is a what is it? Mechatronics or something? Not Mechatronics. Metabox. This is a terrible, terrible laptop. I mean, geez, they've got a rat tail pin through electrolyte on it, for goodness sake. And then the power leads that came into this for the actual input power, they were no thicker than a typical fan power leads. It was an absolute crack up. I couldn't believe it when I opened it up. I thought, oh, they're just, speaker or fan leads, but nope, they were the power leads. Trying to shuffle in 100 watts. Well, that's not going to work. Has anyone told me I have a hoarding problem? How dare you? I'm sure a lot of people would be thinking, oh man, I could totally save a bunch of parts off that. One of these days it's all going to have to go to the recycling. Oh god, that's so ancient, that thing. Well, I've noticed that the VRAM chips on these, none of them are matching what we've been using. Except that one that we had just before, but that one is not available. Yeah, I can tell none of these MOSFETs are a match. Yeah. I don't have a problem with using AliExpress, it's just going to be a time factor, so I'll have to see if the customer is even willing to wait that long. I suppose they don't really have a choice, do they? So what are they going to do? No. That's a no-go. Yeah, Miles, that was the first Metabox that I had worked on. And it was definitely, you could say it left an impression. That's about the only way I can really describe it. It left a lasting impression. To be fair, they did assist with replacement of some parts initially. And that's when we found out, of course, that they're just a rebadged, I'm trying to think of the name of the brand that, damn it, what is it? Starts with C. Anyway, they're just rebadged generic machines from people who are like, well, we're not big enough to actually make our own boards or anything. We'll just take whatever's been offered out of China for this and this feature, and we'll put our label on it. Clevo, that's it. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for that. Clevo. Get out of the way, rubbish bin. No one wants you there. But 2 boards, very unlikely. Yeah, those VRAM chips are much bigger. What am I after? 6970s? Please tell me. Ah, 6930s. Son of a... So close. But I should have known they're only... Yeah. 6970s, not 6930s. Just going to see if there's anything else on the board that might come close. They're just using 6970s everywhere. I was kind of hoping they might have accidentally used a 6930. No, nothing else on that one. That was close, but not close enough. No, these are all just standard discrete MOSFETs. And that's actually just a PCH. Yeah, lots and lots of discrete MOSFETs. So close, so far. Okay, I've got a couple of iMac boards up here. Kind of curious, maybe they might have something. Highly unlikely. Yeah, unfortunately, supercomputer, the footprints are all wrong. I'm getting the 6930. That footprint that it has is exceptionally different because it's got the two gates next to each other, whereas most of the other dual MOSFETs tend to split them out to sort of like, so you got a yeah, anyway, I'm just hey, an SMC. This is an iMac. I don't know which model iMac it is. I have no clue. It's like 2013, 2015, something like that. I don't know what's wrong with it either. I've just got a bunch of these from my donor part supplier. Whether I'll ever actually use anything off them is anybody's guess. So what is this? A20 34? Okay, so that's got to be 2013. Not going to find anything on that. That's a negatory. Alright, I've got one more laptop in the other workshop. Ooh, what are you down here? Ooh, what are you... The biggest problem I think I have here with a lot of the spare boards that I have from laptops is that almost none of the ones that I kept tend to have their own GPUs. Most of them are just iGPU type setups. Right. This looks even less likely. Yeah, everything here looks... they're all discretes. It does have some kind of GPU in it, but it's probably like a piffly little AMD thingamajig. That's a yoga laptop, or was a yoga laptop. Okay, I'm going to check in the other room. Come here, laptop. Don't be shy. Out of curiosity, would GPUs have, like as in graphics cards, would they have those, possibly have those video modules, the RAM modules? 6380, son of a, it's so close. 6380, okay, so they're obviously PNM pairs. $6414, dead bug. Good old dead bugs. 8 gig of RAM, PC4. If I had the time and nothing else to do in my life, then I probably should go through all of these old machines, strip out the useful bits and pieces and sell. But, you know, eBay is just gonna do you over. Yeah, this is sadly not looking good. I'm basically, I think I'm gonna have to just resort to AliExpress, get them sent over. That's assuming that the person even wants to pursue it. You doing in there, Luna? You look guilty. You better run. Alright. Now, I don't have anything else that I can really utilize at this point. I've got that 1080 graphics card that I need to fix. I'm kind of disappointed in my blimey hell, try to kill me box. I haven't had a chance to sit down and redo this one. I'm not going to strip this for parts, and I've already put it all back together, haven't I? Yeah, I have. Yep, that's all back together in one nice package. I am not stripping that down. No siree. When I say strip it down, I just meant to see if there was any parts, like if it used the same sort of parts, and then I could go and find one of these elsewhere, a different one. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Alright, I think we're going to have to call it a night, my friends. We didn't really end up having a lot of success there. We found the cause, or at least we think it's the cause of the failure. We don't know the extent of the damage. That's the other issue at hand. Because, like, okay, chances are this is dodgy. It probably took a hit from the MOSFET blowing through. So if we replace the MOSFET and we replace the VRAM, we still don't know if it's actually going to work. And that is a problem. And that's the gamble. Fortunately, at least I think what those parts are going to cost me all of $15, $20 maybe, $30. So in these sort of scenarios, I will tend to take that gamble. And if things go wrong, they go wrong. Such is life. A short on the memory rail could also have killed the GPU. Yeah, that's just it, isn't it? It's like we don't know how what the sort of the collateral damage has been, and that's the risk you got to take. So I might, to counter that, I might kind of put the price up a little bit on the job. 1239, only because of the amount of time it's going to end up sucking up. If all goes well, we get a new dual MOSFET, we get a new VRAM, and it all just runs beautifully. That's great, but I have a feeling it's probably not going to end up being that simple. I would not be surprised if one of two things. One, the other modules may have been damaged in some way, perhaps not to the point of a short, but perhaps they are damaged such that if it does come up and boot, we're going to have visual artifacts showing up. The other one is, of course, the GPU itself could be faulty and we get nothing. It's a tough call. Zip drives die suddenly. Zip drives can be interesting, yeah. I used to have a lot of them. The original versions were good, or at least I found them to be pretty good, but yeah, when we started getting that zip click of death situation, that was a bit of a disaster. I only had the original, and it was a parallel port version, I think it was a 20 megabytes, were they? I can't remember. Yeah, but yeah, the original ones were great off the parallel port, but when they sort of came out after a little while and they tried to cut corners or something like that and we started getting the click of death, it was no fun at all. Tried to debug that, but no schematics and parts hard to find. Oh yeah, I don't know what exactly it is that dies in them. It might be the heads on them, I think. I'm not real sure. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Thank you everybody for helping, and I hope it wasn't too much of a disappointment. If the customer does decide to try and go ahead with this, then I'll order those parts and we'll see how we go. If they don't, yeah, who knows. I'll email them and see what comes of it. And then later on I will try and do that 1466 board. I'll try and flash the SMC to the latest version for the 165, and once we've done that we'll know whether it was an SMC issue or whether we've got some other issue on the board. Okay, well, I'm out of here. Thank you all again for your help. I do appreciate it. I know I can be a little bit of a grumpy bum at times, and I know I can be a little bit stubborn, but I think when you work this industry for a long enough time, you tend to get a little bit stubborn because you do see the path of where you're heading, and sometimes it can be a little bit hard to see where maybe someone else is directing you, particularly over a delayed connection, like the 30-second delays or whatever it is, and the lack of information, and the fact that you're talking rather than just focusing on this. It can turn people who are otherwise normally a real pushover like myself into real grumpy bums. So my apologies for that as well. Okay, I'm out of here. You all take care. Thanks again.